I'm Dylan Bowden.
I'm Josh Saunders.
Tear your ticket, take your seat. It's time for PopCorn.
If you'd like to reserve your seat, you can do so every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But the premium seats are over on our Facebook community group page at facebook.com/groups/the PopCulturists. And the behind the scenes seats are over at our Patreon page at patreon.com/the PopCulturists. Jump over there, check out the tiers. There might be something there that interests you.
How have you been, Josh?
I'm just really fucking tired as we're doing this right now.
It does feel like
I
that.
spent the day in like asbestos-filled roofs and
breathing the fumes in.
Yeah, well, it can't be any worse than the cancer smoking has given me, but the two together probably aren't ideal.
You haven't been smoking the asbestos though.
Or maybe I have.
Whoa!
Don't tell me what to do.
You're not my dad.
Yeah, I'll smoke what I want.
What have you been watching?
Only Stranger Things.
Oh,
Saw the trailer of season 2.
Yeah, because season 2 hasn't come out yet.
It hasn't. I thought the trailer looked freaking rad.
I saw some of the trailer. I haven't seen all of Stranger Things, but there was like all this stuff in the sky and like these giant, like.
I can't believe of all people in the world you haven't finished Stranger Things. It seems so you.
I love the 80s. I love kids on adventure movies.
Yeah.
I love weird things.
So why didn't you finish it?
I love Winona Ryder. Well, I was watching it here, and I looked at like 3 episodes in, and then everybody turned up, and they had babies going on, and there was barbecue happening, and I just never got back to watching it. I like had a morning where I watched like 3 episodes in a row. And there was
I thought you meant in the show, like babies and barbecues.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Somebody was calling
What?
me
So
on the phone.
because you couldn't binge watch it in a day, you just decided not to finish it.
I lost my momentum. Yeah.
Oh, get back to it.
It was turning into like the pool was like all dirty, and there was like roots everywhere, and then it was normal again, and she was drowning, but she wasn't drowning. And that's where I stopped.
Oh. Get back into it.
Oh, well. That's something I wanted to get around to.
I'll rewatch it just as good as the first time. So fucking awesome.
How many episodes? 12?
10. 10? 10.
10?
10 or 12. I'm not sure. I've binge watched it, so I don't really take any notice.
Just one long movie.
Do you watch anything?
I did. I went and saw Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Well, okay. Let's zhuzh things up a bit. Because our question this week is in regards to Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Coming from Chris Conway, who submitted his question at www.thepopculturist.com/questions, as you can do so as well.
Yes.
Why does Luke Besson want to hurt me? I'm a fan of his movies and he has written... I'm a fan of movies he has written or had a hand in, such as Fifth Element, Taken, and so on. Then he got a hold of Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets and takes a shit on it. I love the comics and graphic novels. This kind of thing should have been a slam dunk for him. Why does this happen to movie adaptations of somewhat obscure comics? Anyway, long story short, Valerian is trash and this hurts me.
Whoa.
So first off, on the last comment, do you agree?
No, Valerian
is
a quick, great
movie. Rough summary/review of Valerian.
Valerian, I don't know the comic books. I don't read obscure 60s French comic books, but I'd like to get into it if it's probably hard to find.
Probably not now. They'll probably be reprinting them now.
Probably. But as I understand, it's kind of like Narnia, where there's like so many books. And I think Valerian and Lorelei is the name of the comic book, but they've started somewhere in like book 4 or somewhere. So they're kind of...
Oh, right, okay.
The City of the Thousand Planets isn't the first one.
Yeah, okay.
But it's awesome. It moves really fast, really briskly. It starts in like 1975 and it shows... the Russians meeting the Chinese, I think it is, in 1975, and 2 different kinds of races of people meeting together and working for the betterment of the world. And then it continues on as like all these different captains or admirals meeting at the space station that they built on this small like original space shuttle, and then they build upon it. And so it jumps to like 2020, and then it jumps to 2040, and like a different race shakes hands with a white, or human person, and then it becomes he's older human captain and he meets a different race, and then it jumps ahead 20 years, 2022. So the first opening montage is just explaining how the city became, and they're all different directors that Luc Besson has worked with. So like Olivier Megaton, who did like Taken 2 and 3, and Louis Leterrier, who did like The Incredible Hulk, and all these obscure directors playing these characters. And there's all these weird, interesting monsters that we've never seen before. And then it introduces the characters, Valerian and Lorelei, and they've got a bit of a tiff. Like, he's a player, and she is going out with him, and he proposes to her all the time. There's like a love story going on there, and they're back and forth. And Claire, what's her name? Delevingne, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
We looked it up the other day, whatever. Delevingne from Suicide Squad. She's really
Cara
good.
Delevingne.
Cara Delevingne. And Dane DeHaan, who's usually really creepy and weird. They're pretty cool. They got a good chemistry. There's this opening scene with them where they go to a market, and it's this empty desert, but fenced off.
Like Tatooine.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. But the market's in another dimension, so you have to put these glasses on and then you can see. And in order to transport goods, you need a box to pass
like
it through.
Interdimensional box.
Yeah, and so he has the box on his hand, and if he puts his arm through the dimensional, he can hold a gun there, but he's invisible except for his arm showing. And they go there on these guards and these guard towers, and they shoot like a pellet into the guy or like a bullet, and then they can control him from downstairs like virtual reality. There's so many cool little quirky ideas. It moves really briskly until like the third act when it starts to get a bit generic, and it does kind of come together as a traditional kind of story where it all comes together perfectly, and it's a bit simplistic, but there's so many different vignettes of like, there's an underwater segment, and then there's an space fighting pilot segment, and then there's like a gun segment, and it's got all these different parts that work together really well. It's awesome. I loved it.
So you don't agree?
No, it didn't take a dump on anything. Well, I don't know. It could have taken a dump on the source material, but I haven't read the source material, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of more obscure comics that have had movies. I mean, I guess you could say Hellboy was
Hellboy's very different to the source material. Very different.
Oh yeah, extremely different. But those movies were fucking great. So I guess maybe a lot of the old source material from comics is just that. It's old. You know, the dialogue and the setting and all that. You know, it's not reflective of today. So maybe they don't translate well depending on the age of the comic.
Everybody says that movies is a different medium to comics. You have to follow a 3-act structure, whereas comic books are ongoing stories.
Nearly 1,000 issues like Action Comics is now.
And it's easier with things like Spider-Man because there's been so many different versions of Spider-Man. But with something like this, I imagine, or Hellboy, there's only one definitive version. So if you deviate from that, people get cranky.
Yeah.
And like Spider-Man, now there's so many different reboots. And like, I didn't like Batman Begins because it's like, that's not my Batman. He studied for 6 months and now he's a ninja and that's all he did. But then now there's the Ben Affleck Batman, and there was George Clooney and Michael Keaton. Like, it gets rebooted over time, so you tell it in different. So it's like a folk story, and different people tell the story. And it's the same principles but told differently. So I think that's harder with the source material, where it's only one artist or one writer who wrote it, and it's their definitive vision, and that varies. That's the problem.
I get that.
But Rihanna was in it as well. I forgot to mention Rihanna. She was awesome. She plays like in the trailer. She's doing like a strip show.
Oh wait. Oh, Rihanna, like the singer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like a schoolgirl, and then she transforms behind the pole into like a maid and a Zulu warrior, and she's like this shape-changing alien, and like she's only in it for like a block of like 15-20 minutes and then leaves again. But it's really like touching in the short time you get to know her, like that she was a slave and she's turned into you have to perform for people, and was she good enough dancing, and he's like, you know, you were wonderful, and just all these little things that happen, and I'm like, wow, that was really powerful for like Rihanna, who I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And she's doing a strip show. I'm like, oh, this has got no
it's just the
point in being
S&M video clip all over again.
Yeah, but then it kind of had a point to it. I'm like, wow, that was kind of profound.
Did it make you like her music anymore?
I like her music first.
Yeah?
First place, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ponza Replay. Shut Up and Drive. These are the old hits. But yeah, Valerian's awesome. Like, Chris, put in the comments below, tell us what you didn't like about it and what Valerian's like. I did a bit of Googling and I couldn't really find much. Usually in Wikipedia they've got differences from the source material.
Oh, okay.
Didn't have it, so I don't know.
Maybe not enough people care about the source material.
Nobody filled out the wiki.
Oh, well, that's what we've been watching. Let's get into the pre-show with the news.
All right, Ryan's compiled our news. We've got 2 pages of wicked news.
Can you read it? Look at his handwriting.
I did have struggle. I remember what he said, and then I looked at it and like, did he say that? All right, so up first, Justice League. This is a movie coming out in the end of the year.
What is
it's
the
got
date
some
for
characters in it. It's November 20 or something like that.
Okay.
Pretty close. Ben Affleck's been talking a lot of smack.
Smack.
The smack fleck. Well, no, the originally Zack Snyder directed Justice League. There was a tragedy in his family. He stepped away. Joss Whedon from the Avengers came to step in, and now it was like a week's worth of reshoots. Now they're saying it's half the film. They're saying that the original movie was unwatchable. Whedon's coming to fix it. There's a different ending now.
Wait, did Affleck say that?
Yeah.
That it was unwatchable?
Well, no. People.
Okay.
Insiders.
Yeah, right.
And that Ben Affleck said there's also going to be a change to the way Batman's portrayed. At the end of Batman v Superman, he was an angry, bitter person because they murdered his friends in a building. And he had a lot of hate in him. And now he's more heroic, and the death of Superman has caused him to be like, I'm a hero again.
You know why, though?
Why?
He got all that hate out fucking killing people. Now he's all mellow again.
Well, they killed his parents. Like, his parents died, and he's getting upset about old man on the telephone, like, Bruce, I'm your lawyer.
His parents
I'm
died like
die.
40 years ago in the movie.
But that's angry. Like, why does he care if they, like, killed his...
Because I think it was more of his what's the word? Commitment to them, as you know, they were his employees, they were his people that have been with him since he was like, I'm sure that old guy probably has been with him since birth, you know, transitioning him from, you know, taking over his parents' company and all that kind of stuff. And I think he saw it as his commitment to keep them safe, and because of Superman, they're all dead. So yeah, that's right.
Well, because of Zod,
see that
they're all dead.
Oh.
Mostly Zod.
If Superman knew what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other problem. And the tone of Cyborg has changed, and Cyborg's very angry at his father. I saw a quote, which makes sense.
I thought he was anyway. From the, you know, animated films I've seen and stuff, he was always pretty pissed at his dad.
Well, he was always resentful of his father because his father was all about robotics and
the work,
being better than everything.
Yeah, but he was just always at work.
Yeah, and he's like, "Look at me, Dad! I'm the best athlete in the world. I'm the best humans can be.
I got scholarships and you know."
And he's like, "Yeah, I'll come to you for 4 game."
Yeah, well, what was it, Justice League Doom?
I think that's the one
where he became Cyborg.
Yeah,
and I remember him. He was playing foosball, and he looked at his dad's seat, and that's where Billy Batson was sitting because you know Billy Batson's awesome.
Yes.
Well, that makes sense.
But that's not news. That's not anything new. Like, maybe he just wasn't aware of that. He's like, yeah, that's a thing. Actor that plays Cyborg. He's like, I thought I was spoiling things. And Casey Affleck, Ben Affleck's younger brother, said that rumor has it Ben will not be in the Batman. The Matt Reeves directed The Batman. Ben Affleck's lazy. Like, Robert Downey Jr., he's made 3 Iron Man movies.
Yeah.
3 Avengers movies.
Yeah.
And been in Spider-Man and Civil War over a decade. That's effort. I mean, it's not physical for him. He just turns up, wears his green screen, and does his thing. Ben Affleck, Batman v Superman is 1 movie you've made. 1. Suicide Squad appearing in 2 scenes. That doesn't count. That's not a whole movie. Justice League, getting there. It's still Avengery where you're a part of it, not all of it.
The way I'd see it, though, is that Marvel Studios probably treats their actors a lot better.
I don't know,
because so far
skimpy on the money.
Yeah, but apparently. So far all we've heard about DC and Warner Brothers working together is just heads butting the whole time, and that must get frustrating.
Yeah, and that's
especially for someone of, you know, 10 years ago, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't at the level Ben Affleck was at. You know, Ben Affleck, even today, I'd still argue that Ben Affleck is a bigger name than Robert Downey Jr.
What? But Ben Affleck had a bit of a down.
He had his own
Jennifer
downers.
Lopez and Gigli and all that stuff.
But Ben Affleck, I think he's at the point where he's used to having pull / being in charge.
Yeah.
And when, you know, he at the very least having a solid plan of how this movie's going to go and how it's going to shoot and how long it's going to take and what he's going to do. And then I'd imagine it's being every day he rocks up, there's another memo. Oh, this has changed. That's changed. We need to reshoot this. We need to reshoot that. So-and-so's not in charge anymore. Now this person's in charge. And I'd imagine he's just fucking sick of it. And I don't really blame him, to be honest.
It's not what he signed up for originally.
No, it wouldn't be. And, you know, is Casey Affleck relevant?
As a good source?
As a person?
Yeah, Casey Affleck. He's in
I mean, like,
lots
what?
of things.
Why would he, put that out that Ben's not going to be? In the
Well, he
Batman?
said, "Is that a spoiler? I don't know. Is that breaking news?" But he is probably talking to his brother, and his brother's like, "I just want to get off this set. I just want to get out of the spotlight and go hide in my bat cave."
I don't really blame him, to be honest. But it's a shame because he does make a fucking awesome looking Batman.
Yeah, but I might argue that he's barely even had a taste. Like,
No, he hasn't.
he's really been in one movie, and even then, it was a part Superman movie, so he hasn't really had his own movie to shine. And the Batman would be a good chance to do that, or a swan song for him to be sent off as, like, he made an awesome Batman movie.
Yeah.
Other ones, he was good.
He's going to do it. I reckon he'll do it.
Maybe just one. Speaking of swan songs and returning to roles, James Bond 25. It's been officially announced after a lot of umming and ahhing. Yes, maybe, who knows, maybe not. Daniel Craig has confirmed that he will be coming back for one James Bond movie, one more only, Bond 25, as the character James Bond. How do you feel about that, Josh? What was your opinions of Daniel Craig as James Bond?
He's the best James Bond there has been.
Over Sean Connery?
Yes. Over Pierce Brosnan.
Really?
Thing is, I don't have any attachment to James Bond as a character because growing up I never watched the movies because they were always the boring old person movie.
Oh, yeah, tell it.
Are you serious?
Yes. I'm going to pee my pants.
And we're back from the pee break. Thanks, Dylan.
You're welcome. So, Josh, you said Daniel Craig is the best Bond.
He is. At the time, I mean, Bond's been relevant since before. Bond was a thing since before I was born.
That is true.
But growing up, they always had that, this is an old person's movie. Like, any time they'd be on TV or whatever, and it just kind of grew me. I didn't care about the character or what James Bond meant for the movie industry and all that kind of stuff until Casino Royale came out.
Yes.
I was like, this dude looks sick. This movie looks sick. I'm going to see it. And Casino Royale's fucking awesome.
It is an awesome movie.
Quantum of Solace is pretty good. Skyfall's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So but after Skyfall, I'm pretty sure Daniel Craig said, I'm done with Bond.
He wanted to give it up, yeah.
I don't wonder why. But it's awesome. What do you think? I reckon it's fucking sick. I love Daniel Craig as James Bond.
Yeah, Daniel Craig's been good. Casino Royale, like you said, awesome. Quantum of Solace was a disappointment. It was just generic. But then Sam Mendes came on and directed Skyfall, which is incredible, and the 50th anniversary of James Bond. And was like amazing. Back on top, all the new players were set in place because Casino Royale was a prequel. Had M, had Moneypenny, everybody back in place. Q, the gadgets, and then they made Spectre. Sam Mendes returned, and Spectre was like a crap generic James Bond film.
I forgot that.
Yeah, that was bad. So I think he was like, I could have left on 4.
Could have left on 3 and been.
Yeah, he's like 2 for 2. So I think this is the one he wants to end on being like. So yeah, I had 3 good Bond, awesome Bond films, the best Bond films.
What's it called? A quintology?
Yeah. Is that 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Pierce Brosnan had 4.
Yeah.
Sean Connery had about 7.
Oh,
George Lazenby had 1. Timothy Dalton had 2. So yeah, 5's a pretty good run in this day and age.
Yeah, it is. I wonder who the Bond girl will be. I've learned that that's a thing, that every movie there's a Bond girl.
That's true. Mostly they choose like obscure European actors,
Yeah.
which is usually pretty cool.
Well, in Casino Royale, the Bond girl fucked him over.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool twist towards the end.
Well, he fell in love.
Then he still tried to save her anyway, because then he found out that
yeah.
she was like, she had to, or else something. I forget now, but something bad was going to happen.
Fiance or whatever would happen.
Yeah. Casino Royale was rad. I don't think I even saw Spectre, so maybe I won't watch it at all unless it's relevant to needing to know what's happened.
Well,
or just read a wiki plot summary.
Not even. Spectre tried to do a retroactive making all the other films come together as like it was all a grand plan.
Oh.
By the major villain Blofeld, who's like one of James Bond's ultimate villains. He's like the Joker to James Bond.
What's his name?
Blofeld.
Yeah,
Ernst Stavros Blofeld. And he looks like Dr. Evil in the old ones. He had the scar, bold, grey suit.
Yeah.
But he was
Generic
played
evil
by
guy.
but he was played by Christoph Waltz from
Okay.
Glorious Bastards. So
Yeah.
it was like this big hype, and he was like, no, it was again like the Khan thing. He's not Blofeld. It's Steve Jones, and then he is Blofeld, and it was no surprise. But yeah, I think this is his chance to go off on a high note. And they offered him 150 million to do 2.
Oh wow.
So maybe you got 100 to do 1. And that was like a year ago they offered him that, and he said no.
Well, he's a big name now. It was because when he was cast as Bond in Casino Royale, from what I understand, he was relatively unknown. I know he had a TV show that was on ABC, I think.
He'd been only a few things.
He's been in a
Layer
few
Cake
like
was his big
small,
one.
Small to mid-level
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But Casino Royale's really what kind of catapulted him. Like that beach scene where he's getting out of the water in Speedos in Casino Royale. That just, needed mop buckets in the cinemas after that happened.
That's true.
But what else has he been in other than Bond movies recently? I'm sure there's something, but I can't.
He was in a
remember for the
war
life of
movie
me.
called Defiance. He was in The Invasion with Nicole Kidman, which was Bomb as well, science fiction Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake.
He was in like a action comedy.
What else has he been in?
I
recently?
swear, I'm looking it up now on
Yeah.
IMDb. Yeah, like
He was in The Golden Compass, but that didn't go anywhere.
oh, is that what I'm? No, that's not what I'm thinking of. Sure.
There is a new one coming out, but we'll get to later. Logan Lucky, where he looks incredible. But we can talk about
incredibly
that later.
handsome,
Just
or just badass.
no, just like he's playing this weird yokel hick guy that's completely out of character for him.
Oh, he was uncredited in Force Awakens.
Yeah, Force Awakens. He was one of the stormtroopers.
Cowboys and Aliens. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Cowboys and Aliens. That again was a bit of a flop as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, so he's around.
Yeah. No, cool. I'm be happy to see him go out on a high note. Hopefully.
Well, hopefully, unless they make a bad one again, he's like, I'll come back again.
All right, I'll do it again.
Then he's
Keep
gonna
going.
match it though, 3 for 3.
First Bond to get to a 10 episode box set
Ooh, on his own.
on his own.
Wow, that'd
Yeah.
be rough. But he said the physicality of the roles wearing him down, which has been like 2006 Casino Royale came out, so it's been 11 years.
Welcome to the big league, son.
It's a big one. Speaking of returning to roles, Arnold Schwarzenegger says he's coming back for Terminator 6.
He said he won't be returning as the T-800.
Did he really?
He did.
Well, that's dumb.
So what's he going to be doing? Will he be Sarah Connor in this interpretation?
It could be. I don't know.
Because we touched on this. Did we touch on this?
We did in our unrevealed secret episode.
Oh yeah, that episode didn't happen.
No.
Cool. Because James Cameron's back in it.
Well, I don't know.
So-
James
what do you mean?
Cameron's got the rights back in a couple of years.
Oh,
But he's doing 4 Avatar movies.
He's been doing 4 Avatar movies since the first Avatar came out.
Pretty much. But I don't know if he's going to... He might write it. He might just produce it. It might never happen. We were talking about the other day whether it's relevant still. That's something they're comprehending, whether Terminator even makes sense anymore. Is it worth doing? They had the good idea of making him the older Terminator in Genesis. There were a lot of good ideas in Genesis that just didn't pay off.
And the bad CGI cameo in Salvation.
Yeah, Salvation. They got better when they did it in Genesis, but still pretty bad. But I mean, there was a deleted scene in Terminator 3 where they're building the original Terminator, and they're like, and he's based on this like guy that looks like Schwarzenegger, and he's like this soldier. He's like, "Hey, I'm Sergeant Candy," and it's Schwarzenegger with some voice. Some dubbed voice, like, "Hey, I'm the best soldier around, and I'm going to be the prototype for this thing." And somebody's like, "Can we do something about the voice?" And then a guy with Schwarzenegger's voice says, "We can change it." And so he made his own voice. That explains why he looks like Schwarzenegger and why he's got the Austrian accent. But is he going to come back as that character?
I just got mind fucked there.
Yeah,
Trying
it's
to
weird.
comprehend.
But it's a deleted scene, so it doesn't even make sense. I don't see a point of Arnold Schwarzenegger being in a Terminator movie if he's not a Terminator.
I think they're just trying to rely on him for nostalgia at this point. You think Terminator, you think Arnie. Obviously, his name is the brand, the franchise. But I don't want him just hammed in just because he's Arnie.
Well, that's what the Genesis did. They kind of had a clever way of making him old, but in it, and in a part that was integral, but trying to set up the new characters. I mean, they've tried multiple times to kind of
Tried to reboot it many times.
make him relevant and be in it and be a part
I think
of it.
we said on our unreleased episode again that you had the initial trilogy, and then Salvation was meant to be a trilogy, and then Genesis was meant to be a trilogy, and now we hear the rights going back to James Cameron. Maybe just leave it alone now. That's enough.
I mean, I love Terminator, but I think, like you were saying before, it's been sullied by more bad ones than good ones.
Yeah.
If anyone can fix it, it's James Cameron, but...
Not really.
Well, if he wrote and directed it and put all his effort into it, it has a chance.
What would the bet be that the Terminators could transform into vehicles at will?
It could be like a combination movie.
Transformers v Terminator.
Transforminators. That'd be pretty good. Maybe, but who knows? Who knows? You know who does know?
No.
Rian Johnson knows that Star Wars Episode 8 will not be a remake of The Empire Strikes Back.
That's
so
good.
no Carbonite, no asteroid fields, no Boba Fett, no Cloud City, no Lando Calrissian, no Hoth.
Maybe no Boba Fett, but what about a Fett?
Maybe a Fett.
Because we're seeing all, like, from the first trilogy, we're seeing all the big names kind of find their way back into it. You know, you got Skywalker, and you've got Organa and Solo. Obviously, all the original characters have been back.
Right.
But then there's, Rey is more than likely somehow related to one of these big families, or Kenobi. Kenobi, she is a Kenobi is my theory.
That's your prediction.
That's my prediction. So, it'd be cool to have Fett come back in.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't a bad guy bounty hunter, but someone with the name, surname Fett. And just as, even just the crowd service go, did they just say Fett? And then, you have all the YouTube theory videos popping up and all that funny shit. But, we were talking about this before we started the show, and Ryan said,
yes,
because Force Awakens, in hindsight, is very much structured the same way as A New Hope was.
Very much.
But watching The Force Awakens, you didn't really kind of pick up on that.
No.
Except for the Death Star thing that could shoot 8 planets at once instead of 1. The ultimate Death Star. But you didn't actually see all the similarities until after, like in hindsight. But I think they did that smartly for Force Awakens because, the formula of A New Hope worked at the time. I think they copied that formula for a new generation of kids and old. It played on nostalgia for the older fans like us, but then had that same kind of winning formula that won us over as children for the current generation's children.
Sure.
And now I think it is time to branch away from all of that and really see what this reinvigorated Star Wars can be without relying on...
Well, that's what I think this one will be. I think that's why they're saying it's not a remake of Empire, to say this is completely new ground we're covering.
Yeah.
It's about Finn, it's about Rey, it's about Poe, it's about Kylo. And from everything that Mark Hamill seems to say, that he hates everything, he doesn't agree with anything that Luke would do. Yeah. And the Jedi shouldn't end, and his part in it, I don't know how big it's going to be. There was a...
The title is a fake out. I guarantee it.
I don't know.
It's a play on words.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
But he does say the Jedi must end.
He does, but I think we've talked about this before. I don't know if it was on a show or if we were just talking shit in the lounge room, but the Jedi must end, but maybe they become the Grey instead.
Oh, yeah,
was it the Grey? Is that the term?
Yeah.
People that use like the light and dark side and kind of have that middle ground. So I think maybe it's metaphorical. The Jedi must die and you must be reborn as a Grey or something. Yeah. Take the light and the dark and be stronger. Yeah. Because I'd imagine the Grey, I don't know, I'm sure there is all this lore on the Grey and stuff. I don't know it, but just from the name of it, that the Grey would be like, you start off in the light side, and the temptation of the dark side is always there for more power. So you think you can straddle the line in the middle, being a Grey, but you always just end up going to the dark side. Because that's pretty much what Darth Vader tried to do. Yeah. Because, Anakin wanted the dark side to help Padme.
Yeah, he wanted that power.
Yeah, he wanted, but he didn't want to be a Sith. No. Or a bad guy. He wanted some of that power. So I think he tried to straddle that middle line, but you always just fall. into the dark side.
When you kill children like 2 minutes later, that's,
You're pretty much done.
there's no line to go back.
That's exactly where he stepped over the line.
Yeah.
But I think
Right.
I think that's why
He straddled it from one room to the next. And
I think that's
over.
why we haven't seen the grey yet, because being able to maintain that balance must be incredibly rare and extraordinary for someone to be able to do it, and possibly Rey will be the first one to be able to strike that balance.
Maybe it could be both. Kylo Ren could come from the evil to the good-ish, and Rey could come from the goodish to the badish, and they could be two of the new kind of Jedi.
2 greys make a white.
2 greys make it right, yeah. Make it all
I know,
right.
I'm glad. I reckon they only said that because a lot of the aftermath of The Force Awakens was fucking awesome movie, but it is A New Hope. And that was all the headlines and the discussion, and so I think they've come. It was smart of them to say it, but now everyone's going to be looking for every little similarity.
Yeah,
I think they'll be actively looking for it.
Little things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If someone from the current Star Wars universe, Force Awakens universe, had to be put in Carbonite, who would it be? Who would you choose?
Finn, because he doesn't do anything at the moment anyway.
He has a big role to play. He has a big role to play.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be like kind of ironic if it was Chewie?
That'd be some smelly, hairy carbonite. Once you open that up again, that'll be gross. Could be Chewie, because I don't know what Chewie's doing these days. He's sitting in a ship, chilling out.
Flying the Millennium Falcon with Rey.
Yeah.
Where are they going? I don't know.
Adventures.
Where did they go in episode 5?
They ended up...
the Dagobah
I
system.
assume that they flew to that place where Luke is.
No, I mean Star Wars episode 5.
Oh, where did Arnie
Is that where
Chewie
Luke
go?
Luke went to Dagobah in that, didn't he?
Yeah, but that was with R2. But Chewie went to Cloud City to hang out with Lando.
Oh,
and
that's
Han.
right. Yeah. Be interesting to see how they tie it all together without getting those dumb comparisons.
Yeah,
I'm keen as mustard for more Star Wars.
Cool. All right. So, speaking of things going wrong, some bad news.
Oh shit!
Bad news. So there's been 2 stunt tragedies in movies recently. Deadpool 2. They were shooting a scene on a motorcycle with a stunt woman, and the stunt went wrong, and unfortunately she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And also Tom Cruise, who's known for doing his own stunts and big exciting things like that, especially on the Mission Impossible movies. He was shooting Mission Impossible 6 and was jumping through a window apparently and missed his mark and hit the wall, and then somebody on home camera phone found that he was stumbling around, fell over, collapsed on set.
Well, give himself a concussion.
Maybe. I don't know. There is footage, but I haven't watched it because it's TMZ and I don't want to give them any power because they're just creeps. So he hit the wall and is injured. So there's no official release from Paramount at the moment, but they might need to shut down production. That'll delay his future movies. He's got Edge of Tomorrow 2 set and lined up, and all these people have got jobs that they're waiting for to continue on. If they put a delay on for 4 months, it's going to push everything back. The release date will change.
It's just Scientology's way of telling him to stop making these awful movies.
Well, he's 55.
Who's the god of Scientology? Who do they worship? Cthulhu?
Who?
Cthulhu? Yeah.
L. Ron Hubbard is the guy who created it. I don't know if he's the god of it. Maybe.
It's just a sign for him to stop making these movies.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But yeah, so...
But, Tom Cruise is overall pretty amazing.
Yes. A lot of people hate him. I don't know why. He's awesome.
It'd be interesting to see how he decided to headbutt a wall instead of a window, but I'm going to find that footage. I don't care how much power TMZ have. I need to see this clip.
You're going to watch it out. Well, it begs the question for our special feature. Do you think actors should be doing their own stunts, or do you think that's what the stunt men and women are for?
Well, it's obviously what the stunt men and women are for. It's their job title. But, look at it this way. Being a stunt man / woman, you're doing all this crazy shit that all these people in cinemas and movie lovers are going to be talking about.
Yes.
But they're going to be talking about who you're doing the stunt for doing it, not you doing it. So you've got to kind of learn to live with pretty much being unknown, except for the select few stuntmen who have made a name for, like a big name for themselves. Like, I think The Rock. The Rock has a stuntman. You see that scene in this movie where The Rock like did this and that and then fell off this and jumped into that and yada yada yada. Oh yeah, it was fucking sick. What about the poor guy that actually did that stuff? I mean, I'm not built to be a stuntman at all, except for maybe Peter Dinklage. But I don't know. I couldn't. I'd hate to see someone make a bigger name for themselves off my hard work and not get what I would class as not enough recognition for it. So I like the idea that's why I have respect for Tom Cruise, that he does do 99% of his own stunts, because every scene in the movie is off his own merit without relying on anybody else. If all stuntmen and stuntwomen in the world went on strike tomorrow, all the movies for the next foreseeable future would be absolutely fucked. Because half of the
Cruise movies.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is in everything. He's doing rom-coms, he's doing action comedies, he's doing stand-up.
You wouldn't believe how many stunts are in rom-coms. All those kissing scenes.
Yeah.
Stand-ins.
You know what I mean? They're so important to the industry that I think we've come to rely on them a little bit too much. And because where we're at with movies, where every week, and there's an article, why movies always doing reboots, Hollywood's run out of ideas, movies are stale, there's nothing new coming, so directors want to push everything that little bit further, something new you've never seen before, and it will get to the point where it's no matter how many safety precautions you put in, someone's gonna die because you just pushed that little bit too far. So for this stunt woman who died on the Deadpool 2 scene, we don't know what the stunt was or what she was doing, but I remember it was either last year or the year before, it might have been longer ago, where there was a stuntman who was supposed to do a stunt with two cars passing each other, and he's meant to lean out the window and grab something from the other car as they pass each other, but the other car was too close in, and the car hit him in the head as he leaned out the window, and he died on the spot. So it's all these things where it's like Hollywood need to push that little bit more, do the unimaginable, do something that makes the crowd go, whoa, we've never seen that before. And it gets so much more dangerous that people are they're gonna die, unfortunately. And we don't want our favorite actors to die, but it would suck dying in someone else's place. You know what I mean? Like, imagine being a family member. It's like, you are the stunt, my son is the stunt double for Vin Diesel. And they're doing the Fast and the Furious. And in this scene, he's pretending to be Vin Diesel in this scene, and he died. My son died because he's pretending to be this guy, because this guy didn't have the nuts to do the stunt by himself. Okay. But there's also, you need to protect your big actors as well, because they're the one, it's tricky. What do you think?
Well, it'd be a situation, I assume, where, the family might be like, they died doing what they love. Yeah. It was their passion. There were most of the stunt people, I imagine, are kind of like those kind of adrenaline junkie kind of people who enjoy the challenge of it and the thrill of it.
It's worth pointing out that stunt men and women aren't forced into doing these things. It's all by their choice. At
gunpoint usually is how it works. But there are a lot of instances where there's actors who were stuntmen. Like Jackie Chan does for a long time, did all his own fight choreography and stunts. And
Rush Hour is a perfect example. Yeah. Jackie Chan did insane things in that movie.
And most of his Hong Kong movies always end with the reel of all the near misses or stuff ups that he's done, and the times that he's injured himself, and it's a big thing. People like Tony Jaa from The Protector and On Buck do all their own stunts, and because they're martial artists, they're not the greatest actors. Yeah, but you can do long takes, and you can do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do in kind of movies like the Bourne movies, where they kind of fast cut between things, or it's shaky cam to kind of heighten what's going on. They can do these long takes because they can actually
single
do
shot takes
themselves, and you can go close up, and you can let it play out because you don't have to cut to the stuntman back to the actor.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, shoot these fight scenes where they have a stunt double to do all the actual physical work. Yeah, and that's when you get the fight scenes that are all these quick jump cuts, and it's the cameras all over the place, and I hate it. I love the fight scenes. Matrix is a perfect example. I don't think Did Keanu Reeves do all the fight scenes in the Matrix?
Probably not all, but a lot of them. They did learn martial arts to be able to do that.
That's the cool thing about the Neo and the Morpheus fight in the dojo is that there was lots going on and lots of different camera angles, but it wasn't close-up jump cuts. We got these big long shots of them, both actors in the frame going at it, and it just made that fight so incredible because it wasn't so so I don't know if Lawrence Fishburne did it all as well.
Lawrence Fishburne learned it all. Hugo Weaving did most of his stuff as well. But then there's people like Zoe Bell, who I believe she was Uma Thurman's stunt double on the Kill Bill movies. She did Death Proof with Quentin Tarantino, where she was like on top of the car driving down the thing, and she's an actual stunt woman, so she did the stunts for it as well. But in this day and age, most things can be done digitally. Like, I remember when they had Titanic in 97, where the Titanic goes up on its side and there were people falling, and they had people on ropes that they pull down, but then they'd have the first ever digital stuntman. It would be like one of these digital people that flips off and hits some part of the sail and falls off.
No, I
it was
think
like
the exhaust pipe or whatever.
Yeah.
And he falls then he hits it and he starts spinning.
Yeah, it rolls off of it. And that was a big achievement. And it's been 20 years since then.
Yeah.
Like, why not do it digitally? Why can't they do all stunts digitally? Do you think the wow factor and the cost involved, everything's a lot of safety protocols, and they practice everything as much as they can.
Yeah.
And everything's insured, and everything's kind of like done within a billion different safety precautions, but things can still happen. Is it worth all that, or would you just CG it?
Well, the thing is, CG's really inconsistent these days. Even in movies as big a budget as any of the Marvel movies, they still don't look great with the CG. Sometimes you can go, that just doesn't look right, and it also would increase production time by a lot. Like, for example, the Warcraft movie is, 80% CG, and all the actual acting was finished shooting like 5 or 6 years ago, and then the last 5 years was just doing all the CG for that movie. So incorporating that into every movie, I don't know. I don't feel like CG is there yet to do it. We're getting there. Like, you look at what they've done in Star Wars with Carrie Fisher and
Peter Cushing.
Yeah. Look pretty fucking good. And as Ryan said when we were talking about it a while ago, it's in people, it's the eyes. It seems very hard to capture that real human likeness in CG in the eyes. I don't know why, but it seems difficult. I don't know. I like the idea of practical stunts. Like, it just makes it more impressive. I
like the car stunt, kind of like watching Baby Driver this year and seeing practical car races and chase scenes was good.
Like, compare that to, I haven't seen it, but the latest Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah. I think
I heard that looked pretty fucking rat shit at times.
There was one part where they had all the cars driving by themselves in New York.
Yeah.
That looked pretty bad. But then there's other things in the snow that I'm sure are all CG cars. But yeah, I mean, if they can do it, why not? There was scenes in Logan watching on YouTube where he's driving the limousine and they're shooting and stuff, and it was Hugh Jackman's face digitally put onto the stuntman.
Oh, yeah.
And you never even notice it.
No, I didn't notice that.
That's the kind of thing they could do, where it's a stuntman, but a digital stuntman, visually at least. So it's getting there.
Well, take Game of Thrones, for example.
Yeah.
The show looks fucking rad. And I've seen shots of, like, King's Landing, before and after CG from, like, a distance, so, like, seeing it from afar. And it's like King's Landing is, like, one building in real life and the rest of it is CG, but it looks incredible. Take this season of Game of Thrones, for example, Drogon, the dragon, who got a lot of screen time last week, looked amazing. One of, if not the best looking CG dragon we've ever had, except maybe Smaug from The Hobbit.
Smog.
But they're different dragons because Smaug was
Smaug.
supposed to mimic human characteristics in the face. Because
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch voiced him, and he
Yeah.
could talk, he had personality. And,
Yeah.
whereas Drogon is literally just a fucking dragon, and it couldn't believe it. It's a TV show, obviously a big budget TV show now, but Drogon looked incredible. So CG is definitely, and obviously Daenerys was riding him, which was obviously CG because she's not really riding a 40-foot dragon around a field.
Wasn't it?
No.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
What they did do for Drogon though for his flames is they actually had a mounted flamethrower,
That's pretty cool.
and then so they'd line up the flamethrower where they wanted their shots, like of the fire, and then just obviously CG Drogon on doing the
So
fire.
real fire.
So that's a mixture of practical and digital effects.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much where we're almost at with stunts now. Is someone's doing a big fall, they're not normally falling out of the sky. They're falling from really high onto a cushion bag.
Yeah.
And you just CG in,
Yeah.
the earth underneath them and stuff. So I think that's the best mix.
Mm-hmm.
Going full digital and full CGI with stunts, I don't know if we'll ever get there. It's just, it seems really hard to capture every nuanced little, movement that makes a human and not a robot. But I think mixing them together, I think even the original Jurassic Park did it as well. Because all the dinosaurs were real, animatronics. And you had the car chase and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that's what I prefer. I don't want to go all digital. I mean, obviously the risk is always there for unfortunate death, but I'm sure they know it. Stuntmen and women know it. They know the risks, and as you said, most of them would be, I'd imagine, adrenaline junkies who just live for that rush of like, I could die any fucking second here, and it's the best thing ever. And they've got like a fucking boner through their latex suit and stuff. But I think mixing practical and digital for stunts is probably the best way to do it.
You could even go motion capture. Like if you motion capture a stunt in a safe environment and then CG over it, or it depends on how much time you've got, what your budget is.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest drawback now is, like, let's say a director goes to a studio. Let's say Joss Whedon went to Warner Brothers about Justice League. Like, we want Batman to jump from the top of this fucking tower and glide over here. And just to be safe, we're going to do it all in CG. How much will that cost to do that scene in CG? Fucking $500,000. How much will it cost us to get a stuntman to take a few takes for the day and get it right there, and then add extra CG later? $50K. Do the $50K.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it would be so much cheaper, at least now. Because CG, in terms of technology, at the level it is now, is still relatively new.
Yeah.
Like where every month we're learning something new we can do with CG and how much further we can push it. And with that comes high expense. And studios want to spend as little as they can and make as much money as they can. And it has to be cheaper just to do a real stunt with a real person. Yeah. And if in the very, very rare 0.01% chance that stunt person dies and then there's the insurance pay and all that, they'll still be saving a ton of money. This is just from the dark business perspective.
The dark fiscal side of things.
Yeah. I think it's just also just cheaper to do real stunts than it is to
do
just
practical
CG everything.
on-set stuff that you don't have to deal with later.
And it's also riskier. Like if you get someone to stand on top of a car for a high-speed car chase, and you really get someone to do it, and you film it, and it's cool, when that hits the screen, it looks real because it is real. Whereas if you spend all this money CGing up that and then it just comes out just not looking right, what the fuck do? You go back to it and edit it, but then you're spending even more time and money on that one scene. Whereas if you just shot it with a stunt driver, it looks exactly how you want it to look, and there's no risk involved.
Yeah.
It'd be scary to be on the CG team of a big budget movie because you can't fuck up.
Well, that's the thing, because most of them go out to, like, some effects will go to Industrial Light and Magic, some will go to Weta, and then some will go to like small production houses in Australia, and that's why you have varying kinds of effects that don't quite match.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think in the future, sure.
How far? 20?
You mean before stuntmen and women no longer exist in the movie universe completely?
No, when it's like 90-10. 90% no longer around, 10% still a little bit.
25.
25 years?
25 years.
That's
I
pretty
reckon. And to be phased out completely, 50.
Wow.
There'll be people hanging on for a while, I think. You'll get the directors of today, the directors born in the generation under us, who get into their prime and they want to, go back to basics. And basics is old school stunts, the way my grandpappy used to do them and not use any of this computer shit. It's like now, like the animatronics from Jurassic Park. Every now and then there'll be a movie that uses animatronics as well.
Practical effects.
Practical effects is what the word I'm looking for.
Over that kind of stuff, yeah.
And if done right, it still shows today that it looks better than CG. Like episode 7 used a lot of practical effects. Like episode 4 used a lot of practical effects. And episode 4 to this day, the benefit of using practical effects is that it doesn't age, if you know what I mean. It's all real, it all happened, so it all still looks real. Whereas even going back to watch the Avengers now, it doesn't look as good as I remember it, just because in that 10 years or however long it's been, the industry has changed so much and CG has changed so much that the Avengers even now doesn't quite look right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It look a bit cartoony.
Yeah,
I agree. I think...
Well, we've moved on to talking more CG than stunt people, but it's
all
relevant
part of
because,
I don't know, sometimes James Bond movies have been the big ones where they've been about pushing the envelope or showing you something you haven't seen before, and with
getting
Daniel
the world
Craig,
record for rolling a car.
Yeah, where they had in Casino Royale, the car was driving around the corner and Vesper's lying on the floor and on the road, and he kind of slams on the brakes and spins the wheel, and it had the most amount of rolls the car has ever done.
20?
That's pretty massive.
It was
because they had like a
because there'd be
hammer in it that kind of pushed the car up. Or
it gave it a little
an ejector, to kind of throw it up in the air.
But if you go back and watch that scene now, obviously one understanding that actually happened. 2, they only had one take, because 3, they only had one fucking car for this. I think it was an Aston Martin. Yeah. Not that I know cars or anything. But you see, even on the first kind of roll and bounce, it gets 4 rolls in the air. Because it's going so fast and got such high propulsion that even, pretty it was between 15 and 20 rolls. And it's fucking huge. Yeah. It's so insane.
And it pays off in that sense. Even I remember watching one of the James Bond movies. I think it's from, which one is it? The Spy Who Loved Me, maybe, where he's fighting Jaws and they're in a plane and they fall out the plane without parachutes and they're fighting each other. And I'm like, they must have had to have filmed this 27 times, jumped out of the plane and they drop. I don't know how long it takes to free fall, a minute maybe at most.
A minute or something, yeah.
How much footage would you get in a minute? You'd have to do it over and over and over again and just keep doing these falls. It's so impractical. And it doesn't even really look that good now, but in the day, it would be amazing. You got to give it props to kind of.
So take from that scene of these 2 dudes falling out of a plane and punching each other. Now we've got I think it's the Expendables that want someone in a tank falling out of the sky, shooting planes.
Yeah, the
and shit.
A-Team. Yeah,
that's right, the A-Team. Shit's fucking crazy.
They kind of take it up a notch.
Yeah,
but tell us what you think. What are your favorite scenes in movies? What are your favorite stunts in movies? Do you like practical effects? Do you like CG effects? Now we've kind of covered our question time already.
Yeah, we did.
But what is coming out this week? So this week will be the weekend. We come out on Friday. So this weekend you can check out in cinemas. Number 1, The Dark Tower, which I know Josh is going to be there on the first night to see. Right, Josh?
No.
Why not?
I'm not seeing it.
Not seeing it at all?
I'm not seeing it at all.
Why not, Josh? You love Stephen King. You love the Dark Tower stories.
I do.
Is that right?
I can't risk my image of the Dark Tower universe. I can't risk it being besmirched.
Besmirched? Whoa.
Going back to William Regal from WWF, that was his thing. I don't know. I can't. I've seen the reviews and they're mixed, and it's this and that. I've read a couple. Spoilers don't matter because I already kind of know what happens. But as keen as I am and always will be to see Idris Elba as the gunslinger, I don't know. I can't. I don't want to see it. I reckon I'll crack one day when I'm in JB and I see, 3 for $40 Blu-rays and the Dark Tower's there, okay, now it's time to finally get it. But I'm going to put it off as long as I can because this image I have of the Dark Tower is so magnificent.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it's going to live up to that world that already exists.
Well, I have deliberately avoided finding anything out about the Dark Tower. I kind of wanted this to be my gateway drug into the Dark Tower. And from the sounds of it, I might watch the movie and be like, that was alright, and be missing out on a whole lot of mythology.
That's the thing. It sounds like the movie will just be, it was alright.
Yeah. Which is a shame because it seems to be like this epic franchise that they can set up. They've got great talent involved. I don't know how they mess it up, but then again, I don't know too much about the mythology, so I'm excited to see it just to kind of get a taste of it.
Yeah,
and that might direct me to the books.
Maybe from someone who hasn't read the books, maybe it will have that effect on you, and you think this whole premise is kind of fucking cool, and I want to know more, so I'm gonna go see. Or it's like I really enjoyed that movie. People say the books were so much better, as cliche as that is now, but if the books are meant to be better than that movie, and I thought that movie was above average, maybe the books are worth checking out.
Yeah. And I don't know how much it deviates or how much they're kind of cramming in it. It seemed like a Harry Potter style thing where if you take your time, it'll reward you. And when everything's building a franchise, you'd seem this would be a perfect chance for that. But from what I hear, they're trying to cram too much into one thing, and it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. And they have to make it a single contained story as well. Yeah. And it suffers for it.
See, I don't know when we were talking about this as well, but like planning for a franchise is risky because the first movie might bomb and then you've kind of just fucked up your franchise. So you need to get a good, solid first movie out and then kind of judge if you want it to be a franchise or not. But with a series that is already a book franchise, a big sprawling mythology of books, you're in a hard spot because you adapt the first book, but then maybe people won't like the movie, and then you got all this other material that you're never going to use because they canned the franchise because the first movie didn't do so great. So then you try to condense the whole story into one movie, but then you've lost all the little bits that made the world what it is. Yeah. All the little details and the extra world building that really created that world. You lose it all just to tell a generic fucking Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 plot. Yeah. You try to take the elements of what you think people like and then put it in a different context of a story, and it just doesn't work. Everyone loves, people that have read The Dark Tower love the gunslinger, who's Roland, but they love the iteration of Roland in the books because you spend so long and so much time with him, and there's the character development and the inner monologue and all that kind of stuff. And then potentially this movie is just generic action hero Roland, which is not the same character. So I don't know. If you see The Dark Tower, let me know what you think. If you've read the books and you decide to see it, please tell me what you think, because I really, really do want to see it, but I can't do it.
And also this week, that's Josh's.
That's my rant on the
disclaimer.
Dark Tower. Yeah.
Another one coming out this week is Logan Lucky with Daniel Craig from James Bond. So this is directed by Steven Soderbergh, who I swear he said that he wasn't going to direct any more movies anymore. He was famous.
Doesn't that also have Kylo Ren in it?
Yeah, it
What's
does.
his name? I always forget his name. I can't believe I
I'm getting confused with Ezra Miller because they look similar.
No, they don't. I keep thinking Andy Serkis. I know it's not. I just don't know why I think that.
Hang on, let me think of it for a sec.
See if you can find it before I...
Kylo Ren is played by... No, it gets me. Give me a letter of the first name. I'll tell you what it is.
A.
Adam Driver.
Yep, Adam Driver.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, this is directed by Steven Soderbergh, who did Sex, Lies, and Videotape in the early 90s, became a big kind of indie director, directed Traffic and got a lot of like Academy clout, did the Oceans 11, 12, 13, and the movie is about, as far as I remember, I watched the trailer and I thought it was awesome. And I'd never seen this before. First trailer I saw, and I'll see it this weekend. But essentially, they're these yokel idiots that decide to rob the NASCAR because the amount of money that changes hands at the NASCAR Grand Prix or whatever the equivalent of the big one, big race that they have is. And so they get one guy who's like a dynamite expert and this and that, these idiots. And Daniel Craig plays this southern character with like peroxide blonde hair, and he's completely different. And even in the even in the trailer it says, and introducing Daniel Craig as the character, because it's such a departure from his stoic, grumpy kind of character that he plays in the past.
To be fair, I've watched the trailer. I didn't even notice it was Daniel Craig.
Yeah, and it's like amazing. So I'm really excited to see him in it. It looks like it's got a fun vibe to it, like a heist caper with a bit of humor to it. Looks like a sleeper kind of hit. What do you think?
I'd rather see that this weekend than Dark Tower.
Whoa! Do you think you would have said
because
that
Ryan's
months ago?
Well, no.
Right.
I only decided this probably last week or the week before. But
Dwelling
Ryan said he was going to ask me if I wanted to see the Dark Tower this week, and I'm just no, I'm not going to. Logan Lucky sounds fun though.
And Lucky Last is coming out in limited release is Batman and Harley. So we talked about that a little while ago.
Yeah,
we watched the little short kind of behind the scenes of and trailer that they had.
Yeah.
Would you go to see Batman and Harley in cinemas?
No, not in the cinema.
What?
Nah,
why not?
No, I'll wait for the DVD.
Ouch.
I'm just not that keen. Like,
out a week later. It'll come out in cinemas for this limited release, and then a week later it will come out on Blu-ray and DVD.
Yeah, I'll just wait the week.
But yeah, it's more expensive. I was going to go see it, but then it's like $20, and here it's $10 a movie.
Yeah,
$20 to see something you can download legally or watch on Blu-ray and DVD a week later.
It's not so much the cost. It's just after watching that behind the scenes for the movie, it just didn't really do anything for me.
It seemed a bit low, not necessarily low budget, but a lot smaller scale.
Yeah, I appreciated the throwback to the Batman animated series, art style. I thought that's cool. That's fine. Kevin Conroy's back as Batman, and a few other returning voice actors, and
new Batgirl, new Harley Quinn.
What's her name from Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, her.
Who's her character's name? That's what I'm trying to
Mrs. Wolowitz.
Yeah, her. She's Harley, and she seemed to do okay, in the for the voice, but just the premise of the movie, the trailer didn't sell me on the movie. It just, I don't know. I
think it'd be fun.
Didn't do it for me.
I don't know if it's worth an event to go out and see. It'd just be a fun.
I'll wait until it's in
watch.
like the how Kmart has like the $4 racks with that big yellow sticker on it. Yeah. I'll wait till it's there, then I'll probably pick it up.
Ouch.
After viewing it through other means.
Oh. I don't know what you're talking about there.
No, me either.
But that's enough talking for one night. I've been Dylan Bowden.
I still am currently Josh Saunders.
And thanks for tuning in. For now, that's a wrap.